So I think we might be able to mine the next Bitcoin on rented GPUs. I'm over here looking into BitTensor. The chat has convinced me on it. They said it's like a six-figure play, maybe. I don't know. I don't know anything. Actually, I know a little bit about it now. And what got me excited is that we might be able to use rented GPUs and use our machine learning knowledge in order to get an edge on BitTensor. Now, someone said that BitTensor is, in their eyes, the next Bitcoin with all the developer activity that's going on. Now, of course, he's very, very biased as he is trading it, dude, or he's mining it. He says to me, it's the next Bitcoin after watching the devs. Now, obviously, there's only a tiny, tiny, tiny percent chance there. Tiny percent chance, and there's never going to be another Bitcoin. But I get what he's saying, and I understand his bias. Danny says directional risk for sure, but no risk, no Rari. Oh my god! Because I was wondering, is this going to be like a something that you mine like Bitcoin at $2, right? And I'm sure a ton of people mined Bitcoin $2 on rented GPUs and then just paid off those GPUs with their profits. That's a big L when they could have been directional on it and kept those $2 Bitcoins and held it to whatever it's at now, dude. If you were a little directional with the mining. So I was curious, is it an arbitrage right now? Or do you have to be directional? Danny says directional risk for sure. No risk, no Rari, though. Maddie says there's a limited supply. It could be huge in the future, in my opinion. He's also the one that said after watching the devs, he thinks it's the next Bitcoin. This is the actual white paper here. We read through some Reddits, but it's very, very. You can Google BitTensor Reddit mining. There's very little information about that. We were just talking about how there is an edge in crypto when it's hard to do things. Because while crypto people are smart, ambitious, sometimes lazy, and don't want to go to new chains or set things up or don't know how to code, we know how to code. We got AI. We're the only ones that can use AI, dude. We're the only ones that get benefit. King Alfred says, looks like the token is trading between 250 and 700. I haven't even looked at the token too much. Let's look at it. I looked at it briefly. So what is this? The highs were December 6th, 2024, and it is down 50%. Okay. So the lows are here in 24 as well. Oh, it's new? No, probably new on Binance, right? So the lows here are 200. It sounds like there's directional risk here. So it'd be one of those plays of, hey, if this actually is something in the future. I've heard people down here talk about it in PR, so I've just faded it entirely because Solana has all the volume right now. At least this last 18 months or so, it's had all the volume. So I think today I'm going to give it a fair shot because I've seen every single.
We must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Every single arbitrage, every single narrative, every single thing that has popped off in the last year or two has come through this chat early, very, very early. You got to follow the devs. And what are we? We're data dogs. So I got it when somebody says to me it's the next Bitcoin. I don't know Maddie at all. But when somebody says that, I wanna look into that bias. You know? I got time. That's one thing I do have is time and the ability to code forever. And I love this game. Let's see what else others have said. Love your inspiring vibes, Moondev. Thank you. It's its own chain. So that's I was looking up on Bird Eye over here, like Tau, BitTensor, but it's its own chain, dude. So let's close all these tabs. We were exploring BSC earlier today. over here reaching, trying to figure out if there's
Hi
any
there, Doug from
rotation.
Taostat.
Here's a couple of
Hey,
videos
Mr. Travis.
I want to watch here. Maybe we could start with these videos, these 5-minute videos here, and then dive into the white paper because then we'll understand the white paper better. So let's do that.
One of the most frequently asked questions is, how do I start mining on the BitTensor network? And the answer is a kind of an interesting one. It's very different than most other.
There's a tweet about subnet on Tau that uses 30 to 40% of the whole LLM mind share. It's either DeepSeek or OpenAI. Ask AI to read the white paper. I'm just gonna read the white paper. I ain't got time to read it yet, so I asked AI to summarize it real quick. Nice, dude. Yes, it's still early mining days for Tau. We'll see. I do want to see when was it launched because I see it Binance not that long ago. So it's called Tau here, BitTensor. Oh man, it's 7 billion market cap. Okay, so it's been around since back here in 2023. Okay, a couple years. Couple years late, Moon. Don't worry about it. Just a couple years late. Just a couple years.
Blockchains is that you don't actually mine on BitTensor. The mining is done on the various subnets. And this image of a miner is actually created in subnet 19 by a miner. There are 32 subnets on BitTensor network. Each subnet is working on a machine learning problem or creating a digital commodity. As a result, they're all very, very different, and they all have very different requirements and different code for mining. So you don't actually, that's why I say you don't mine on BitTensor, you're actually mining on the subnets. Each one of the subnets has space for about 200 to 220 miners. That means that mining is also a competition. And if your miner has the lowest active key for a subnet, you're going to be deregistered when a new miner registers. So it's important to realize that not only is mining challenging in that you have to pick your subnet and then become an expert in that subnet, but it's also a competition against all the other miners. The way you pick which subnet to mine on is by doing some research. And at Taostats in our documentation, you can see a listing of all of the subnets. And for each one of the subnets, we'll have a link to the GitHub and a link to the hardware requirements for mining and validating on that subnet. The GitHub generally has a very good README that describes the steps that you need to do. It tells you a little bit about what the subnet is doing. And then it may also have links to other documentation so that to help you get started understanding what the subnet does and how the subnet works and how you can mine on that subnet. The min compute YAML generally has the hardware requirements, so you can see how many CPUs, whether it needs a GPU or a CPU, how much memory, what OS, et cetera, how much storage you need. Another way to do some of this research is to get into the BitTensor Discord. You can see each one of the subnets has a channel. You can see when I took this screenshot, there was actually a release for subnet 1. So as you read through these messages, you can get some hints, some tricks. You can read about mining, where people are struggling. And then you can also look up at the pin messages. That's generally where you will find the release notes, where you will find changes and things that the mods for this, the subnet owners have decided to share and have made important, so they'll pin them to the channel.
Yo, why I got such ghetto internet out here, dude? 480? Why would you ever default me to that?
Another way to learn about the subnet is to go to Taostats. And on the registration tab for the subnet, you can see how much it costs to register. You can
Julius says BitTensor is just another ERC token.
see that at this point for subnet 1, it's costing 0.05 tau. You can also see it changes over time. So maybe you're like, oh, this is a little high right now. I'll wait a few hours for the price to go down. That's fair. When you register a node on the subnet, you'll be granted an immunity period. And so that immunity period helps you go from 0 emission to a higher amount of emission so you don't get deregistered right away. You can see you can use the BitTensor command line. You can hit subnet hyperparameters. And for subnet 1, the immunity period is 4,096 blocks, which at 12 seconds a block is about 13.5 hours. Each subnet has a default miner that you can run. Now you can imagine with 200 plus miners running on a subnet, if everybody's using the default miner, you're not going to pull ahead. So everybody's modifying the miner, right? Everybody is making changes so that they're better than the other miners in the subnet. So you can try it with the default miner, but you might want to test it out and see what you can do to improve that miner so that you float to the top. Once you've tested out your miner, you've made your modifications, and you're ready to launch, you can use the again the BitTensor command line to register your hotkey, and you'll need a little bit of tau on the cold key to make that work. And now you're up and running. You'll want to track your incentive in the subnet metagraph. The incentive leads to emission, and then of course emission leads to the tau that you will earn. And as your emission grows, you can see.
Hold up.
And as your
Daily 0.89. So he's making 400. a day, 400 a day, 416.
And as your emission grows, you can see here in this chart, the orange miners all have immunity, and this blue guy right here is the lowest active key. So when somebody new registers, this guy's out. So you want to modify your miner so that when you come out of immunity, you're up here, or even ideally way up here. But you want to find your way up into this space where you're safe so that you don't get deregistered. And you can do the mathematics of like how long you need to stay active to pay for the registration costs and your machine costs and all of that. And you...
Nah, dude, what did I just do here? He said that Ethereum has way more volume than BNB and others on CoinMarketCap. You're right, dude. Check out the USDC and USDT, though.
Your own personal economics decide whether it's working for you or not. TauStats has a wealth of information about like how long you need to stay active to pay for the registration costs and your machine costs and all of that. And your own personal economics decide whether it's working.
364 here. Validators here. I just want to see how much they're making, dude. USD price. How much are people making per day in Tau? Because then, I mean, if you take directional risk, you know how that goes. These are all the subnets. So to me, it sounds like there's 32 different subnets here. Let's see. This looks like 64, but you know, you're actually mining on a subnet, and you get removed if you're not in the top 200-ish, 220. And do some research on the subnet. GitHub has the README here. Keep improving. Who said Tau is at ERC20? Just reading about it, and it's definitely a separate protocol, not ERC20. Also, just read Zach BTC from 7 months ago report that BitTensor halted their chain for a while, June 2024, due to thefts and private key leakage. Damn, dude. That's some good intel, bro. Some good intel. I'm gonna go ahead and pop up this next video here. That was solid, bro. That was solid. Solid.
The Tau Templar. This is a miner overview for BitTensor. First, let's review how Bitcoin mining works. In Bitcoin, mining consists of buying specialized machines with specialized hardware to guess the next Bitcoin lottery number. The first miner to broadcast to the rest of the network the winning number wins. In BitTensor, mining is very valuable, specialized work. We have miners and validators. Miners do the work, validators check the work. Work is different between each subnet. The storage subnet will require you to have a machine with high bandwidth and storage capacity. The price prediction subnet will require you to have a strong knowledge of trading. The ads subnet will require you to have marketing knowledge. The AI subnets will require you to have some AI knowledge. Miners are rewarded for doing their subnet's unique work. Right now, the maximum number of nodes within a subnet is 256. Most of those are miners, with a couple dozen being validators. So let's go through what is required for setting up a miner in order. First, you want to choose the subnet. They're all done.
Nice. Yes, our slogan must be learn, baby, learn, so that we can
Earn, baby, earn.
Vastly different. Consider mining a subnet with less competition and therefore lower registration fees. The trade-off here, though, is that a new subnet owner probably has a less stable subnet and poorer documentation, which can be difficult when you're first starting out. So there's a trade-off there. Then jump on the subnet's Discord. There's a lot of information there. You can read through past messages, find some nuggets of wisdom. Then, if you click in Discord at the top on the pinned messages, every subnet has documentation, and you can find it in the pinned messages. Read through that. Once you've read through it, try running the code locally. Make sure it will run on your computer. Next, you'll want to look at renting a cloud miner from AWS, Azure, etc. You're going to use the information you got from the documentation to figure out what sort of machine you'll need to rent from the cloud provider. Highly recommended to not buy something right away until you're more confident about the specs that you'll need. Next, you're going to want to get that cloud miner running on the testnet. The testnet is a great way to get comfortable with the CLI and just confirm that everything's going to work when you go to the mainnet. Then you're going to pay your registration fee. The registration fee can range from 0.1 tau to 10 tau, depending on the competition within your subnet. Once you've paid that registration fee, you can finally get mining. You can monitor your miner using the CLI or tausets.io. And then the very last step is forever optimize. As I said before, when you read the documentation, you find that the base code for the miner is included there, publicly available. The code for the validators is there. You can privately add whatever special sauce you might want to your miner's code, as long as it satisfies the validator code when it goes to check your work. So to make more money, consider the type of machine that you're getting. Maybe you're overspending, you don't need one as powerful as you bought, or you need something more powerful to get more rewards. Then code optimization, like modifying the base miner code, as I said earlier. And then maybe you've got some sort of special sauce, you've got access to some non-public database that you can use to train on, some special thing that you've got